Can you guys tell what's different about this problem and yesterday's problem? There's an equal sign. So yesterday's problems just look like that, like just this part of it. And the directions were like simplify, right? So if it's an equation, you don't simplify it, like they've already kind of put what it's equal to. What we're doing is solving. So like figuring out what k is. Okay, there are a lot of similar steps to yesterday's. Like I said, the other class did like this one better though. So the goal is, the problem is that all our k's are in the denominator, and that kind of makes a mess. So what we're going to do is try to get rid of the denominators, get rid of the fractions. So we kind of start the same way by asking, what do all of these denominators go into? Okay, k is what goes into them, but our question is, what do they multiply into? Like, what do 3 and 6 multiply into? 6. What does k squared and k multiply into? K squared. K squared doesn't multiply into k goes into k squared, right? So, kind of like when we were finding least common denominator, what's the most k's is k squared. What do 3 and 6 go into? 6. So what we're going to do is multiply everything by 6k squared on both sides. Every term on both sides is going to be multiplied by the common denominator. We're not changing the denominators though. That's how it's different. We're actually trying to get rid of the denominators. Okay, why am I multiplying everything by 6k squared? What's going to happen when I do this? It cancels out. 6k squared, 6k squared, so that's just going to leave me with a 1. Okay, how about this one? 6k squared and 3k squared? Leaves a what behind? 2. Okay, so that's not 1 to the second, it's 1 times 2 right there. 2 is left behind. So 1 times 2 is 2. Then minus, what's going to cancel out here? 1 of the k's. So 1k goes away. That still leaves 6k on top. So we have 1 times 6k, which is just 6k. Now, doesn't that look a lot better? So all we have to do is solve that, and then that would be the answer. So, what am I going to do? Gotta get k by itself, right? Going back to the basics here. Negative 1 equals negative 6k. So k is 1/6. Yes, there is a small note that we need to make on this though. Sometimes you might get an answer. I don't think we found it. Anyways, if you get an answer that makes the denominator 0, it doesn't actually work. You can't use it. What k value would make these denominators 0? What value would putting in for k would make the denominator 0 here? 0. So if we got k equals 0 down here, we'd have to throw the answer out. The book calls it an extraneous answer. Yeah, the book and the worksheet calls it an extraneous answer. It just means extra, but it doesn't actually work. It's like an extra non-working answer. So, and the directions do say watch out for extraneous answers, so that implies there's probably at least a couple on there. I haven't really found it yet though, but if it makes the denominator 0, you gotta throw it away. But this one's good, so moving on. Numero 3. So we're just missing Grant, right? Nobody else? Okay. I should have given this worksheet to Lydia. Grant was gone yesterday.
So if you plug these back in, you could check them, right?
Yeah, just like normal equations, if you want to check your answer, you can plug it back in. Yeah, it'd take a while, but okay, so remember how we started last time? They're being nice to us right now because they're just putting ones on top. That kind of makes it easier. But it gets harder as we go, of course. So, what do all of these denominators go into?
6b.
Right, 6 and 6 go into 6, b squared and b both go into b squared. So the common denominator is 6b squared. I'm not changing the denominators, I'm actually trying to get rid of it by multiplying all the numerators by 6b squared. Alright, so in this first term, 6b squareds will cancel out, we just have a 1. On the second term, well, 6 and 1 of the b's will cancel out. So we'll have 1b, or just b. And then on this last term, b squareds cancel out. So we have 1 times 6, 6. That's probably the easiest one on the page. So if we subtract 1, b equals 5, which does not make a denominator 0, so it's good. Are you guys a little warm over here? We can open that fan. You're fine. The AC turned on. It's only February. It's not even spring yet. You're the only one talking. On 4, what's the common denominator going to be on 4? What are we going to multiply by? 4b squared. So on that right side on number 4, I'm not going to do this one, but just as an example. Okay, this is like the right side. When you multiply by 4b squared, it's going to be kind of like this. So notice there's 2 terms in the numerator, so I kind of put it in parentheses. When you go to cancel out, 4b squared over 2b squared is 2. So you're going to have to multiply both of those by 2. It's like distribute, not just the 4, not just the b, but both of those. So that's kind of how you do it when there's 2 terms. Number 7 is kind of like that. Number 9, anyway, most of them are like that once you get going. Number 5. All right, what's the common denominator on number 5 between x and 5x? 5x. They both go into 5x. Okay, you're trying to choose something that will cancel out with all of the denominators. This one doesn't have a denominator, but we still need to multiply every term by 5x. So on this first term, the x's will cancel out, and I just have 1 times 5. On the second term, the whole 5x will cancel out, so I have 6. On the last term, there is no denominator to reduce, so nothing cancels out. I have 1 times 5x.
It's 4 plus 5x, I think.
Oh, I wrote a minus 2. Yeah, you're right. Okay, plus 5x. All right, so if we solve for x here, do the basic stuff. We got x is -1. It'd be -5 equals -6 plus 1. Yeah. so the other class, we only did the front page, but the back page is harder. So do you guys want to go to 10 or 12?
If we do 10, what?
The back page is harder than the front page.
And then, so then we would just do 12 and on tomorrow?
Yeah.
Just do that.
All right. All right. 1 over b plus 3b plus 12. All right, what is different about number 7?
Denominators minus.
Yeah, there's 2 terms, but also, you guys notice something about this denominator? It's factorable, right? So if it is factorable, you should always factor. It's kind of the same thing we did on the last thing, because you need to figure out what the common denominator is, so you can figure out what you need to multiply by to get rid of the denominators. So how does this factor though? Take a v out. It's not a square minus a square, because these do not have square roots over here, but you take a v out and you're left with v minus 5. Same thing on this one, right? V out, v minus 5. Okay, that just helps because now if we look at our 3 denominators, what are all of these going to go into? Well, they all have a v, so we need a v, and they all have, or 2 of them have a v minus 5, so we need a v minus 5. So the common denominator is v minus 5. So that's what we need to multiply by. So that everything can cancel out. Okay, I put a plus there. Okay, notice I'm putting parentheses around these 2-term numerators.
What's the dot in front of the v, the first?
That's just times, right? Because we're multiplying the top by that. Okay, but before we multiply, we can reduce. V divided by v goes away. So we just have 1 times v minus 5. V minus 5. Then over here, what's going to cancel out? V minus 5, the whole numerator and denominator. Okay, which by the way, these 2 are the same thing. So if this can't, we kind of ignore that after. These 2 are the same. Okay, same thing on the 3rd term. V minus 5 cancels out. So we're just left with 3v plus 12 equals 7v minus 56. All right, and then just a bunch of kind of basic algebra. So our like terms, v plus 3v, negative 5 plus 12. Very rumbling. Did you guys hear all that thunder listening? Huh?
I just woke up to the thunder and I looked out my window and there was like lightning right next to it.
No way.
Oh,
I was
like
so
in
tired.
your backyard or
I
something?
was
I don't know. I didn't nearby because my entire room was
like, no,
light.
I'm not doing that.
I'm gonna feel
There
like
was
so
no
much
strikes
pressure.
around my house, but
Normally,
the
it's
rumbling
harder
lasted
to
for
wake
like
up
30 minutes
earlier.
straight. Like,
No, the thing is, I'm
just didn't stop.
I woke up at like 6.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
It was close to midnight.
No, it's 7 hours away.
It's just adding up. That like keep on.
Yeah, you might have slept right there.
And it's just a white light. Okay, we heard enough.
I was gonna.
Sit down. Okay.
I don't think we should sleep. I'm so tired. I know I'm gonna lie.
Okay, so if we got v's on both sides, we're gonna get rid of them on one side there. So whoops. Okay. So again, we'll probably forget this, but when it actually matters, but you gotta make sure the answer doesn't make the denominator equal 0. So what denominators, or what values of v would make the denominator 0? Right, you guys remember this? V cannot equal 5 or 0 in our answer, because that would be like divided by 0. So we're good though, we're still, hopefully we don't forget to check this tomorrow.
It doesn't matter, does it?
Yeah, I took half off.
Well, like on the test, are you gonna be doing that?
Yeah, of course.
Man, what the heck?
Alright.
How far are we getting today?
Just the front page.
The front page?
Can I get it okay? It's 1 minus 7.
No.
Wait, did you get the other answers?
I
Oh,
got
yeah.
M.
I was thinking about that. Yeah, I am.
You guys think I think we've done number 8.
Oh my god. Nope.
8's a lot like 7. What is m squared minus m factor 2? How did we do number 7?
With
m minus 1. Yeah.
My what?
your hair was lucky.
Thank you.
Okay, on number 9, what's the common denominator? N minus 8. So I'm going to multiply every term by n minus 8. But on this first term, it's actually just going to go away. Middle term, not, but the third term, same thing, goes away. So in my first term, it's 1. Okay, here's kind of an important point. What does this minus apply to right here?
Everything.
Everything, like all of this stuff, like the whole middle term. So we're not just subtracting the first thing, we're subtracting all of that. So, and then over here we just have the 7 left, so that's it. So it's 1 minus n minus minus 8, so it's actually 1 plus 8. Or, yeah, 1 plus 8, 9 minus n equals 7. Get n by itself here. Negative n is negative 2, therefore n is thus.
One second.
Is thus.
I'm so slow.
What number are we going to do?
Just that.
You're not going to do 10 class?
Heck no. What do you think you need to do first on 10?